As Lee and Luca rallied the 10 men to destroy the Wicked Witch, JJ is walking down the yellow brick road. As he walks along, he can hear rumbling behind him. He turns and quickly turns back, and continues towards the Emerald City. He arrives at the Citadel to find the door ajar. Curious, he enters and makes it to the Grand Chamber. Alright. It happened in the movie, right? He waits, but nothing happens. He looks around and hears deep breathing. He walks over and draws the curtain to see two figures lying there. One of them dead, and the other barely clinging to life. He grabs the bleeding figure to see it's none other than the wizard. Please, young man. You have to help me. JJ lifts his hand to see the wound is deep and probably mortal. He tears off a bit of the curtain and ties it around the wizard's waist, forming a poultice. Try to keep pressure on it, okay? The wizard can barely get a word out, coughing blood in response and faintly nodding. JJ walks over to find the gatekeeper with his face torn off. Grabbing his pistol and dagger, he carries the wizard to the throne, where he eases him into the chair. Great wizard. We are travelers from faraway lands who... Oh, for fuck's sake, just get to the point, son. I haven't got long. Oh. Well, we're trying to free Dorothy from the witch's influence and wanted to know if you knew how to do it. That is the question, isn't it? He tries to sit up. I'm assuming you saw the footage. JJ nods. It was diabolical and maniacal and unethical. That poor girl just wanted to go home and was snatched like that. Falba has gone mad, son. Mad. She... He leans forward, coughing more blood. There's a tome deep in the vaults that speaks of a young woman who will vanquish the witch. She wasn't going to accept that and had her minions devise this scheme. Clever, really. Well, why was she subjected to all this? If Falba and her followers believed that the serpents would return to Oz, and only she could stop them. She said she had the will to command Oz to repel them, but even without a body, she was persistent. The girl, she felt, was a necessary sacrifice in order to prepare for another war. So, is there any way to save her? No. No. She's gained full control over her body at this point. Fully integrated, a parasite that turns the host into a clone of itself. If there's any semblance of Dorothy left, she's but a memory. A speck of dust in a sea of corruption. We saw that she was subjected to an operation that put something in her head. Couldn't we just cut it out of her? You might as well bash her head in, it'll have the same effect. You would be killing her. Sure, there's probably a moment where she may emerge as a dominant persona. Seconds, maybe. But then she dies. No. Dorothy's gone. Gone. We did nothing to stop it. JJ looks around to see the chamber covered in blood. What happened? As he asks, there's a crash and a winged gorilla emerges. He sees JJ and screeches before charging at him. JJ fires a pistol, hitting him in the eye. He screams and recoils as JJ grabs the wizard and they scurry down a corridor. As they flee, they can hear the gorilla grow closer. Stop! Stop! What? Why? If we don't keep moving, that thing's gonna finish you off. The wizard smirks. I still have a few tricks left. He limps to the wall and presses his hand where a panel materializes. He presses a button as the gorilla lumbers closer towards them. Suddenly a wall appears and the gorilla, infuriated, begins pounding. Alright, come on. What was that? When I built the citadel, I based on a labyrinth plan. Simply put, I can make the floor plan as simple or as complex as I want it to be. A way to ward off the likes of the serpent. There's a lot of growl and bang on the other side of the wall. As they move away, the bang eventually stops. Huh. Maybe he gave up. Unlikely. Grokon is one of Fafalba's strongest lieutenants. She lightly summoned him because of an impending attack. He looks at JJ. Now, tell me. Who would be that foolish to attempt a feat on the witch? You haven't met my two colleagues yet. The wizard grins. I think I would like them very much. Come on, let's get you out of here. We cannot remain in this place. It's been compromised. And Fafalba will know to look for me. He turns backwards. She knew I'd be the only other person who could stand a chance against her. It cuts to a clearing in the wood where JJ deposits the wizard onto a mossy patch. He walks over to the stream and cups water in his hands and feeds it to the wizard. He coughs and lies back. Thank you. Thank you, son. Thank you. I have to ask. How did this entire thing start? Wasn't the witch, like, you know, killed? The wizard sits up. Years ago, when Fafalba died, I ordered her remains to be cremated, so as to scatter them to the four winds. However, when I did a scan of her engrams, I noticed an anomaly. The radiation levels were extraordinarily high. Well, how do you mean? When someone imprints their consciousness, there's a high level of radiation emitted. Things work differently here than in your world. Right. Anyway, I thought nothing of it at the time, but Dorothy would go out for long walks into the countryside. Sentimental, I assume. But one day she returned acting more oddly than normal. She would cackle every now and then, and sometimes she would emit energy beams from her hands. Yeah, a dead giveaway. To further suspicion, she would eventually begin venturing further and further out, but where, we didn't know. I finally had her friends follow her, and they reported that she was overseeing the reconstruction of Fafalba's citadel. And Dorothy? It was still her. At that time, but she was more menacing, more nefarious, more evil. The 10 men she captured and tore them apart, turning them into a template for a new army. She ransacked the graves of the deceased, and when that proved insufficient, she began murdering people, ripping their brains out and encasing them in those metal suits. Prisoners with no hope. What happened? What could we do? We tried to fight, but we hesitated. She was still our Dorothy, but the one we all loved and adored. We'd give her our lives to protect her. And he looks up. We could not bring ourselves to end it. I have a friend who thinks that was a poor move. Yes. Yes, it was. He removes his poultice. And now I'm paying the price for it. My complacency has cost me my life. What happened to the others? The Scarecrow's body was destroyed and his mind was uploaded into a system to control the Tin Man. The lion, horrified, fled into somewhere in Oz. I can't say I blame him. He coughs up blood. JJ tries to press the poultice onto his wound, but the wizard stops him. You're friends. There are 3 of you, yes? Yeah. I've been watching your activities. Across the multiverse and realities. And I created the storm. And to lure you here. You 3 must be the new Trinity. Your bald friend is clearly mechanical, so he's the Tin Man. Your fat friend is the Scarecrow and being authoritative and smart. And you're the lion. Thanks? Whatever happens now, I am entrusting you with the task of saving Oz. You must stop the witch at any and all cost. Please. I can try, but I'm just one guy. Well, me and 2 other guys, but that's a tall order. I am gonna need help. He sees the wizard has turned pale. And honestly, I'm not sure if yours will be forthcoming. The wizard opens his eyes. Find the lions. Their pride. Tell them the wizard. His hand goes limp. JJ bows his head for a second. Okay. Thanks. He looks around. So, how do I go about finding them exactly? It cuts to a pile of rocks and dirt near the stream and JJ walking down the yellow brick road. He stops several individuals to see where he can find the lions, but no one knows. As he walks, he looks to the right to see a golden wave. Curious, he walks over to see a lion. It yelps and bounds off. Hey, wait a sec, come back! He chases the lion into the woods. He runs into a clearing surrounded by rocky cliffs and outcrops, but he doesn't see the lion anywhere. As he scratches his head, he hears a noise and turns around and then looks up to see the lions glaring at him. He waves and forces a smile. So, hey, the wizard sent me. One of them growls in response. So, I'm guessing y'all didn't get on with the wizard, then? It cuts to the dungeon where we see Lee and Luca coming too. They are chained to the dungeon wall. As Lee struggles, Luca looks around.
Stupid, stupid, stupid! Ugh.
He shakes his chains in anger. You doing alright there?
No, I'm not. Shit! Why is it whenever you have a good point, I never listen?
You're asking me? I'm not sure I'm qualified to tell you. Lee shoots him a dirty look.
We had her there, at our mercy. We should have just...
Suchek, do you believe Dorothy's still in there? Lee looks away.
I don't know. Maybe it's her, or maybe it was just an illusion. Don't know, why'd she even bother with the illusion? You know, if she's all witch, then why go through those flashes?
He looks at Luca.
She asked me for her help, dude.
And do you still want to help her? Lee thinks for a second.
I think I know what you're trying to do here.
Look, I'm glad you're finally coming to my side on the matter. I just wish you would have come to that conclusion earlier. Like, When we were up in the tower with the witch. Or when we had her at our mercy after knocking her off the broomstick.
Thanks. You made me feel so much better. Now what?
Luca looks around. I'm not entirely sure. We're chained to the walls, our Tin Men army is scattered to the four winds, and JJ's nowhere to be seen. I mean, he and the wizard should have arrived by now.
You think something happened to him?
Maybe. Or the wizards come to the same conclusion that there's nothing we can do for Dorothy.
Assuming JJ did come through, and he's on the way with backup, what could he do?
Maybe they found the remnants of the army, reinforce them with other denizens, and they're gonna beat the witch to a pulp?
That is overly optimistic, Luca. Even for me.
They hear the door creak open and a Tin Man walk in.
Hey! Hey! Over here!
It pivots and marches over towards them and stops. Lee and Luca exchange looks.
Say, not to be a negative Nancy here, but you mind getting these chains off of us?
The Tin Man remains motionless.
Hey, Luca, do that thing you did earlier.
What thing?
You know, give that rousing 300 speech. And get 'em on our side. Chop chop!
Somehow I don't think that's gonna work this time around. The Tin Man loosens the chains on the two and they crash to the floor.
Oh, Luca, ye of little
The Tin Man grabs Lee by the throat and lifts him up. Target acquired. Destroy.
Shit!
Yeah. About that. The Tin Man turns its head towards him with Lee squirming and hitting his arm.